Alright, I will be refuting the advocate's claim that it costs more taxpayers' dollars to put someone on death row than it does to put someone in prison for a life sentence without parole. The advocate's secondary claims are that it would be a safe and efficient way to help the economic status just to give someone a life sentence. And the other one is that the death penalty costs taxpayers millions of dollars because we must have selective jury procedures, mandatory appeals, and attorneys that specialize in capital punishment cases. For the first secondary claim, the advocate proposes that it would cost less to sentence a prisoner to life without parole than sentence a prisoner to the death penalty. And she supports the argument by stating that California taxpayers pay at least $117 million each year post-trial seeking execution of people currently on death row, and that it costs $90,000 a year more to house an inmate on death row. The statistics on the cost of the death penalty provide strong support for the advocate's claim about cost, but she also states that we are investing millions of dollars a year to have people die instead of a real punishment. That's a claim of opinion, and a lot of people might argue other opinions that the death penalty is actually a harsher punishment than life in prison. And by bringing up the aspect of what a real punishment is, it opens the claim to attack in the form of other counterclaims, such as that the deterrent of the death penalty is worth the extra money. She also mentions the economy and budget cuts, and that's why we need to save money with the death penalty. This doesn't really support the claim because it would seem that the high cost of the death penalty only matters when there's a recession. The second supporting claim states that the death penalty costs taxpayers millions of dollars because we must have selective jury procedures, mandatory appeals, and attorneys that specialize in capital punishment cases. The support for this claim is that a trial by jury is mandatory in all death penalty cases. And in such a case, jury selection takes longer and questions regarding the sanity of the defendant are more likely to be raised, requiring expert testimony and longer deliberations. She states that the jury selection process alone costs $30,000 more in capital punishment cases, and that capital punishment cases also require a mandatory appeal. And the advocate points out that this makes them cost much more than one trial to give a man life in prison. Average courtroom costs are about $2,200 per day, according to the advocate, and a lawyer costs about the same. So a death penalty case costs about $5,000 a day for both trials. She states that the average time a person spends on death row is 14 years, and it costs more than $1.4 million to execute a single person, along with $330,000 for appeal costs. The state must provide a lawyer to a defendant that cannot afford one, and that means the state is paying all the legal fees for both the prosecution and the defense. The advocate's statistics strongly support both claims, and there's a lot of evidence to support the claim that it costs less to give a defendant life in prison over the death penalty. The logic in the advocate's argument is sound, and all the statistics support the claim. Without bringing up whether the death penalty is morally wrong, she avoids attack from differing opinions on the idea of the death penalty. And if you only take the statistics on the cost of the death penalty compared to the cost of life in prison, the advocate, in my opinion, has proven the claim that the death penalty saves more.